Somos,
here, I think.
we are only three.
Yes. Hello and good afternoon. We are back with the next panel discussion, and I think very rightly we've been having a wonderful build-up by Dr. Craig Wright about decentralization, and we will take it forward to the decentralized finance now in this next 40 minutes discussion. I have wonderful panelists with me, and would start with their introductions, starting from my left first.
Hello all, I'm Adrián from Bitbase. I'm the co-founder and the CEO. There I see says Alex is my partner that has not capacity to come today, but is going to be here, who is going to be talking for you.
Right.
I'm from Spain. I'm sorry if my English is a little bit Spanish English, okay? I apologize for that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Giovanna Vega. I am from the Netherlands, and I am very delighted to be here with all of you. I am author. I write books, mostly about finances and financial markets, and my target people is women. But today I am here because I am also a great believer about the blockchain and what for changes can bring for all in society. And I am writing my next book, which is DeFi, How to Build a New Financial System.
How relevant to our topic, the book, and of course we'll be speaking more about that one. We move on to Jimmy.
Hi again, for those of you who did not see me yesterday. I'm Jimmy Nguyen. I'm from the US, but I spend most of my life around the world trying to grow useful adoption of blockchain technology. Until recently, I was president of the Global Association for the BSV blockchain, which you just heard about, which is scaling the original Bitcoin protocol big, so it's useful at big data scale for low fees. I recently set up my own company in Dubai, Blockchain for All, appropriate for this conference to help governments, enterprises, and other businesses make useful blockchain applications for all people and industries. And announced my first big project yesterday, which is a metaverse complex of sites in 5 global cities across the world.
Right, so a bit of my introduction. My name is Mohammed Salman, and I'm the CEO of a company named MateSoul. We have a fintech solution, InvoiceMate, which is invoice management system powered by the blockchain. And at the same time, we also do some metaverse projects, supporting service centers of governments on metaverse. We now move on to the discussion about the DeFi. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of DeFi. I think it's a good thing to have, but it's not just going to be the only thing in the financial world which will remain. So with that, I'm expressing my intentions that I'll be quite a critic about the DeFi phenomena. So we move on to the first point. I want to be convinced about DeFi. Give me some advantages of DeFi.
Well, for me, DeFi gives the power to the society. In the end, the financial power, the financial capacity to the society in a best efficient way, where people can choose from his own where to put his money. Now you, in the end, you're putting in the model that we are now, you are giving the money to your bank, and they do with your money what they want to do. Now it's give it back to the society, to the people. Now people can choose what to do with his money. For me, it's a big power that we are working to give back.
Power back to the people, and that's what the message. Giovanna, do you buy the same concept that it's giving power back to the people, DeFi?
Absolutely. I do believe that blockchain actually has been developing in the way that many people is taking advantage on that. And I do believe that giving power to people means more democratized money. Give them the power to choose and take the decisions about what is going to happen with their money. I do also believe that DeFi, for example, is opening new avenues for the financial service and the way how we are going to be exchanging, and in the way how you are going to be democratizing money, in the way how you are going to take advantage about the financial services. And I do believe that it is time, it's a gift. It's a gift for all of us in order to to create a new reality when it comes to finances, definitely.
All right, Jimmy, I will ask you a philosophical question because that I think is a foundation for the whole DeFi, CeFi system. Do you think humanity is ready, or there is an inbuilt phenomena in humans to cater peer-to-peer things? Because again, I don't see in history there is a concept of peer-to-peer management. Like humans can't without a centralized authority, whether they are like governments, whether they are some tribal heads. We don't see anything like decentralization in the humanity history. Do you think we are now mature enough to handle decentralization?
In theory, yes, but in reality, no. I don't think most of humanity is ready for it. I think when we talk about DeFi, we have to separate out what it has been in the industry, which is what I call the acronym of the month or year in the blockchain space as a way to make quick money. First we had ICOs, and then STOs, and then NFTs, and then DeFi. Like if you look at the history of the blockchain and crypto world, every 6 months there's a new trend, and then you hear investors go, oh my God, DeFi is the hot trend, you gotta invest in this DeFi token or DeFi platform, when most of them really are not useful. So I agree with Mohammed on the reasons why he's skeptical of DeFi. The DeFi that we've seen, I don't think has been that useful. It's been another, mostly, not entirely, get-rich sort of quick phenomenon. But what exactly is decentralized finance supposed to be? It's supposed to be the concept of taking financial services, which today we rely on a central authority, your bank. You deposit money, you earn interest. Banks have a license regulatorily to issue loans, right? That's where we get capital. That's where we might buy bonds, et cetera. And taking away that central authority because we have the power of a distributed ledger now, a blockchain, so that I can earn interest, let's say, directly from one of you, as opposed to having a bank through a peer-to-peer transaction. Or getting a loan that I repay directly to you and therefore not needing a bank in the middle, theoretically, hopefully providing lower interest rates and access to capital sources that don't exist today. That's, in theory, what decentralized finance should be using blockchain. I think the concept of DeFi, as we've seen in the blockchain world, is just a fancy way of saying smart contracts for financial products. So DeFi doesn't really have to be its own class of type of token and things. It's taking a financial product, which we would normally have someone in the middle to do, like a bank, and then automating it with some smart contract where I deposit coins that are, let's say, locked until something happens, right? So that's really all it is. And I think the idea of democratizing that by allowing financial services we traditionally rely on now for a bank or a stock exchange or a crypto exchange to do, and allowing us to do it directly peer-to-peer, I think it's great in concept, but I think most of humanity is not educated enough about financial systems. Like, we don't have enough financial literacy in the world to be able to manage that carefully, and I fear that it could turn into lots of gambling markets and bad behavior. This is similar, the last point I'll make is, analogize it to the early days of the internet when I was a young lawyer, and we had peer-to-peer file sharing systems, right? Where someone would deploy software to the world, Napster, Grokster, allowing people to share video, music files without a service in the middle, but someone's released it. People did, led to bad behavior, like all technology can. It's not necessarily inherently good or bad, but I don't think just creating peer-to-peer capability itself delivers the benefit and value on its own. There has to be a lot of education that's done for people to use it wisely for their own finances.
On the education part, very relevant to like one of the panelists, Giovanna, you were writing the book. Tell us what triggered you to write a book on DeFi. Like Jimmy mentioned that people need education about DeFi to get entered into this space. Do you have the same objective, or share us the whole concept, why and when you started thinking about writing this book?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. I think that one of the big challenges that we are facing right now is, apart from the lack of regulation, lack of education, definitely. And I do believe that coming with the idea to write a book is actually more to give that education to the average people. So for example, today I am here in this event, that by the way is the first time that I am speaking a blockchain event. I talk with people and I see the education that they have, and it doesn't matter what kind of topic you are talking. I mean, if I talk with somebody here about NFT, their education is super high. Or when I talk with somebody else about metaverse or Web3, I mean, the people here are very high educated. So I ask myself, coming from the financial world, from the empowerment for women, because that's my book about, I am always empowering women, mostly women, because I do believe that they are missing the sector. Now I am discovering the sector of the DeFi, blockchain, NFTs, and then I say to myself, it's time that the average people start learning about this, because I do believe that Bitcoin came for something. It's not just a crypto coin. I think that this is the way how we can become free when it comes to finances. And you explained it very beautifully. The financial system that we have at this point is pretty much centralized. And we are also sensing that something is happening in the financial markets right now. That's why people are looking for this information. They want to know what is the digital coin, what is the cryptocurrency, why they don't know about that. And that's the whole idea from my side on writing books, because that's the way how I can help them to understand and have the same knowledge that you guys have, because at the end, I believe that we need to be doing it all together, don't you think?
Sorry?
At the end, we need to be doing it all together, right?
DeFi is doing things together, or at least at the peer-to-peer level. You seem to be a evangelist for the DeFi systems. Tell us some of the trailblazer projects which are doing some setting some benchmarks for the people to follow the DeFi systems.
Well, for me, there are a lot of projects that now are working good. For sure, projects like Uniswap, where people can go to the market and get money from his project, and people buy them on Uniswap. But in decentralized e-finance, if we want the massive adoption, it has to be something more than from financial. I think that decentralized has to arrive to the streets, has to arrive to the society, has to arrive to the day-by-day person usage, like go to the nursery, go to the school, like I think that has to be something really more, like more apps, more projects, but that the problem now is that all of them almost are focused on money, are focused on projects that in the end get the value on the money. I think that we are missing projects, at least what I feel, that those is solutions from the people on the streets. Like the basic people, the no user, like people that comes to Bitbase that they don't know nothing, but they want to be his own powerful, you know? And like projects, there are a lot of projects. Another thing, like for me, the projects that are growing up more now, it's gaming and esports. There are now no people that goes to a football stadium, young people, they are not paying for go there to a ticket, they want to see their sports at home. Then these are for me the both markets that are growing more now, gaming and esports.
Very nice. Gaming could be a good starting point for people to get involved into the DeFi systems. So again, coming back to you, Jimmy, there is a concept when I'm like, again, we wonder in different conferences, meet different blockchain people. They always think DeFi, or they give an impression that DeFi is a peer-to-peer is between individual to individual.
Yep.
Whereas, if you want to go for a mass adoption, you have to go into the business communities. Do you think Emirates Airline doing some business or DeFi activity without involving Central Bank of UAE with some other, let's say Shell buying the oil from them, that's the real DeFi, the decentralized financial system between the businesses. Any application you're seeing so far in the world? Are you seeing in like coming time happening that?
No. I don't really see any successful, what I consider inherently, truly decentralized finance product. Because most of the things you see out there, there's a company that's providing, let's say, a platform or a protocol which creates the marketplace, which through algorithms pairs, I'm a potential buyer, you have something to sell, right? There's always a kind of a matching engine. Think about it as a stock exchange. Otherwise, how do peers find each other? Right? Someone has to run what is either the marketplace or the system to connect the things, and they make money off of it somehow. So that is, I would say, maybe less centralized financial services, but I don't see what is truly a decentralized finance service where there's nobody in the middle. And I'm not sure we're ever really going to see that. And that's the point I made yesterday. All this talk about decentralization, it's really less centralization. Trying to achieve true decentralization is very hard because someone's got to manage that marketplace. And that creates a gatekeeper role for them, even if they kind of step out. It's, for example, how the entertainment industry was able to sue Napster and the Grokster file sharing service, which provided software which allowed peers to then, share files and then engage in potential copyright infringement. And there was a target for the entertainment industry and law enforcement to go sue to shut down what is a peer-to-peer file sharing network. The same thing is happening in DeFi. So I see no true DeFi products in my mind. I see some decent, less centralized ones, and I agree with you, the better working ones will be business to business. For example, a friend of mine in Africa, in Kenya, has launched a wallet exchange product called Bitlipa, which is a crypto digital asset exchange. But his key business driver, what he believes in, is unlocking more capital to SMEs in Africa, which have a hard time raising capital to grow their business. So he's creating a DeFi type product where he's getting people in the community to contribute capital through stable coins or cryptocurrency, which then a small business, such as a woman-owned business, can then access to get a loan when they might not be able to get one from a bank. Smaller amounts, they pay back through this system. So he's still in the middle, and you can call that DeFi or DeFi liquidity pools, but it's not really decentralized. His company's providing the platform, taking a fee, so I would say it's less centralized. So I see that, and the business use of it, I think, is both stronger and better. My concern with a true consumer peer-to-peer market is who's going to gate the scams. People scam people all the time. I mean, people impersonate me on social media all the time, and I get messages saying, someone told me to send them, Bitcoin because I was going to promise them a return. That's going to happen in a truly DeFi marketplace. And if it crosses borders, you have this very serious question from my legal hat, from years of lawyering, who's going to regulate that, right? Where the peers and the transactions are all over the world. And
Smart contracts.
While I believe in democratizing all this, a truly peer-to-peer consumer marketplace can lead to a lot of bad behavior. And I think we'd all agree someone should clamp down on that if it happens, rather than just leaving it to the cyber ethos. So I think it's best started in B2B models or B2C models which have at least some responsible person behind it that you can look at and trust, but then it's truly not a DeFi product. It's sort of a less centralized.
Thank you for sharing some of the challenges around the DeFi's place. Giovanna, you also are doing some research these days on writing your book. Tell us again more challenges which you found out that there will be for the DeFi adoption.
Yes, absolutely. I found one of them you just mentioned, the smart contracts. Indeed, decentralized finance is actually controlled by protocols, consensus, and all these kind of components that activate these DeFi finances. But what I do see is, for example, smart contracts is something that also can originate some kind of challenge. And that's in the case, for example, in the programming. If there is a bad or poor programming, it can occur some flaws in the code, right? So this is a big challenge. How do you solve that? So I have been doing my research, and I think that also it's very important that before starting to create all of this, it's very important that you choose the right blockchain, that you follow the blockchain standards, protocols as well, and also taking a lot of advantage and look at the way how the test of code is done. So this for me is huge, knowing that indeed decentralized finance is controlled by smart contracts as well. So how do we solve that part?
Righto. Smart contracts issues, coding especially flaws, blockchain, that's your risk which you have identified. Coming to you now, can DeFi run without blockchain? Is it that important that you can only run DeFi systems on blockchain, or there is another technology, or you can do DeFi without blockchain?
I think we cannot, because in the end, what DeFi does is that you can trust on the other part without knowing him, you know, and that you can check on in the blockchain. I think that the blockchain it's like the principal point of all of this. I'm also agree with you that the scams and hacks, it's another thing that we have not been talking. Almost all the breaches on the Ethereum has been hacked. A lot of money from people has gone out. Luckily now there are tools that you can trust this money and in the end find where this goes, but it's not easy to do. But we have two problems now, hacks and scams, okay? I think that there are the 2 points that now we have to look and take it out from this market. And without blockchain, I don't see decentralized, because if not, you will need to trust in someone on the middle, if for sure. Then blockchain let us to see what is happening and let us to trust on that.
So it's a trust enabler basically in the DeFi system. Perfect. Jimmy, now if we are not, but we certainly are moving towards the Web3 age, will it accelerate DeFi, and how helpful it will be for the DeFi?
Sure. I think Web3 as well as blockchain can enable a less centralized financial world rather than, I just never believe that we'll get to complete decentralized finance. Because Web3, for example, will allow you, the concept is you have more control, let's say, over your identity, right? And instead of having Facebook and LinkedIn all have different data profiles of you, if you use blockchain data with applications that can have your identity in one place, and then you can authorize, right, different sites to access it to validate who you are. And that's one of the principles of Web3, right? So that you change the power structure between the internet service providers and you as the consumer. That is something that is critical to achieve this less centralized finance world. Because, for example, before I do a peer-to-peer transaction with you, if I'm going to lend you coins and get paid back, don't I want to know who you are? Don't I want a system to validate your identity and you're not a scammer, right? And blockchain and the move of identity management in particular to Web3 is critical for that. Otherwise, scams will be very easy. If you're doing business-to-business transactions or even individual, who's going to do KYC and AML compliance? How will you automate that? And that will be automated probably in the future by, let's say, having a service that says, I have KYC'd you, and I can validate that through some token that someone can access on a blockchain through Web3 type applications, so that it gives you comfort that you are who you say you are, you've been KYC'd, and I can trust a token that validates that, lives on a blockchain, and different services or DeFi protocols connect to that through oracles or other technical methods to confirm you are who you are, and also give me a person to go sue if something goes wrong, right? So I think that is why Web3's concept of allowing you to manage your identity and all these different services across the web or blockchains to access all that, whether it's for identity confirmation, KYC, AML compliance, you name it, I think it's critical to creating this world we're talking about.
Right, wonderfully answered. We move to Giovanni. DeFi is all about financial inclusion. The objective is to have more financial services prevailing into the world. Women inclusion in the financial services is, again, a critical part. You, again, writing a book on DeFi. What role you see for the woman like you to promote DeFi, especially in the vertical of the woman side, that they learn it and also adopt it so that there is a financial inclusion happening through the DeFi?
I think it's a very good question. I do believe that the lack of education is number one, but I also believe that women, they don't have this confidence as well in order to come into this sector. And you are going to be very surprised, but when I did a research with women, 70% of women, they don't even know about financial markets, for example. When you talk to them about technology, about blockchain and all of this, they don't understand. And I am talking about a big group. Here, for example, I have been speaking with women. They are knowledgeable. They know what they do, but that's the minority. So how can we create this empowerment in women in order for them also to be participant, not only in the financial sector, but also here in the blockchain? At this moment, when I see women here coming to this event, for me it's like, yes, that's the way how it should be. And everything starts by being curious, just going to this kind of events and see how can you learn a little bit more about this whole technology, because I do believe that this is the future, this is the now, and I don't think this is going to be gone. So this is the way how we need to start learning and connecting with this kind of people, because you guys, you know about this.
Perfect. Yes, coming to you, do you think there is a coexistence between the DeFi world and the CeFi world, or you'll see they will always stay apart? Or another way, will you see a bank having a vertical of or window of a DeFi?
I think that they have to do it. If not, they're going to die, because in the end, the market is going to be to that way. I think that the massive people are not ready to do it from their own. They will need a centralized e-service that help them to introduce to a decentralized e-service. And maybe there are not going to be banks that will do that, but I think that there are a lot of exchanges that they are going to become like a bank. I think that's like the flow is going to go. Binance, there is like they want to buy a bank now. It's something that is on the air. Just imagine
They are already centralized finance.
They are centralized, but they are going to decentralize. Every time they are giving more service to the people that they can introduce to decentralized, because they know that market is going there. We also, like a company, we are going to be a bank next year, that we are going to have events to our customers where they can buy crypto assets like in a centralized way and go to the decentralized markets. I think that the people, the massive people, not maybe the people that are here because we know a lot, but the people that are on the street, they will need companies that help them to do that for sure.
In a minute or so, tell us more about your company, BitBase.
Well, we are like a company in Spain that have like physical place around all Spain. We have like shops, physical shops, where people from the street can come and get answers from they ask. Also exchange cryptocurrency in a physical and in a online. We are working from 5 years in Spain. Now we are growing up around all the Europe, and we are doing our own bank app. That's what we do. Crypto for the normal people.
Good luck for the bank and your expansion plans in the Europe. I will ask my last question to all three panelists, and then I think we have some time for our audience to ask a question to the panelists. My question is that I'm not asking about today. Let's take a year of 2026, like 4 or 5 years from now. You do 100 transactions, financial transactions. How many you think, ratio-wise, out of those 100, you will do CeFi and a DeFi, starting with Jimmy, 5 years from now?
Out of 100? 100.
CeFi.
I do CeFi because, again, I don't believe we'll ever get to a truly DeFi transaction where there's no intermediary somewhere involved. Think about it this way. If I want to rent an apartment and I go to Airbnb, because unless I'm going to go find an individual to say, give me your apartment for the week here in Barcelona and actually negotiate the transaction and manage the payment directly, even if I could do it through blockchain, do I really trust that that person's going to be there with the keys when I arrive? And what am I going to do if they're not there? And that's why there's always a value to these intermediaries that create marketplaces, even marketplaces that pair peer-to-peer, right? Uber driver to you, Airbnb host to you, even for stock or crypto trading, right? In the old days, there were peer-to-peer crypto trades, but there was still usually some service behind it that helped you identify who that person is. So I think we'll have a less centralized finance world where the incumbent institutions, financial institutions, will have to, or have less power, and there will be access to financial products and capital from more of the public, but that will be facilitated by some intermediary in the middle still.
100 out of 100. So, Giovanna?
I would like to reply, what about creating a hybrid method, let's say, between decentralized and centralized? Do you think it will be possible to take the best features from these two worlds?
A very womanish approach, and I appreciate that one. But again, if I just go back to the question, out of that 100, even you want to go for a hybrid, like Jimmy completely went to one-sided. Out of those 100 transactions, how many do you think you will be able to do on DeFi and on how many?
Actually, I am totally agree with what just Jimmy said.
Like a hybrid approach still is centralized.
It's still
That's
centralized.
the point, right? It's
Absolutely.
less centralized, but it's still ultimately centralized.
Absolutely.
So heavily towards the CeFi, I mean, yours.
Right now I'm doing half and half. Then in 5 years, I hope I'll do 100% decentralized. But being honest, if I have to think about the society, I think will be more centralized for sure than decentralized from the risks that we have talked. As you ask, but maybe 80% people on the decentralized way and 20% people on the decentralized way.
Right. I rest my case. It's more like a central CeFi.
And I, again, like I said yesterday, I don't want to be the negative Nelly on this. I really believe in the power of DeFi-type products to unlock more capital, provide more access, particularly to traditionally disadvantaged people like women and developing countries who don't have access to the traditional financial institutions. I'm just encouraging our industry to be much more clear about what DeFi is and is not. It will only work in a practical sense in a less centralized financial world. But I think all of this, glory and excitement over DeFi is just buzzwords that do not truly reflect what I think will be the ultimate working conditions of something that delivers useful value to people.
And that's what my ending point is, that I've been in the space for the last 6 years. Every year there is a new hype word, a hype cycle, hype trend people from the blockchain bring in. Starting from ICOs, STOs, IEOs, DeFi, NFTs, now Metaverse. God knows what will be the next year's flavor of the year. So we need to come out of these hype words and work on some real problem solvings. That's where I will be ending, but we do have a few minutes, and I will encourage if some of your questions we can take.
Well, thank you. My name is Brigitte. Maybe not a question, but maybe a conclusion from this discussion, that actually the title should be not on the way, but no way to build a sustainable decentralized financial system. Do you agree?
It is the case. It is like I wanted to, again, as Jimmy mentioned, we need to be realistic. That it has.
They just weren't expecting to have me on the panel, so say this because I'm the...
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah.
With the question, please. Thank you for your input. Oh, there is one question there, and this will be the last, and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you. Thanks so much for speaking, everybody. One of the messages that I was receiving was that the problem is there's scammers, there are companies that come and go, there's no solid base to build a decentralized financial system. The internet's the same way. It's filled with scammers that blew up in the 90s and companies that survived all of that. What allowed the internet to be successful in all of its many forms is a protocol, an open protocol, and anyone can join, and anyone can leave, and anyone can build on top of, and no one can break. And it seems to me that Bitcoin and the Lightning Network and all the layers on top of it is that open protocol that everybody can build on top of. So why are we still talking about all these scammers when for 13 years we've had an indestructible protocol that anybody can come and go from?
Thank you for challenging us. I'll first go to Jimmy, then I'll...
I would love for Bitcoin to be that protocol, but it wasn't allowed to scale and have the data capacity and transaction volume necessary to create smart contracts and tokens. And the Lightning Network does not support that. That's why BSV emerged to take the original Bitcoin protocol to scale it big, restore technical capabilities, including raising data size limits and certain opcodes that are necessary to create the smart contracts for that. So yeah, I absolutely believe it. It's just not going to be BTC and Lightning Network that does it. And we have too many blockchains right now, and I'm not going to advocate for one or the other. But yeah, it would be a lot simpler if we had one global blockchain that could do it all like we have one internet. That doesn't mean you won't eliminate scammers. And my point is, even if you have a protocol that can support it, I'm questioning whether we really will achieve a world where everyone's doing direct peer-to-peer financial transactions with no one being involved to interface like internet service providers do with Airbnb and Facebook, right? They create marketplaces, and eBay creates a marketplace for people. So in theory, you could directly do this, but in practicality, most people are too lazy to figure out how to do it directly. You need someone to create an application, marketplace, wallet to make the connections.
Right, so with that, I think we are coming to the end of our discussion. We are happy to take it further once we are off stage. Thank you very much for listening us, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.